I was going to make a repair video featuring the fairly new Arkel Coast dual boiler coffee machine. This unit was reported by the owner to be spewing steam. Our friends at homecoffeemachines.ie sold it originally and shipped out a replacement unit some time ago when the issue first appeared. Recently, the proprietor, Kieran, came to Dublin to collect it, and I talked him into dropping it off here because I thought that diagnosing and fixing it on camera would make for a unique and interesting video. This is the owner's video here showing steam spewing all over, and most alarmingly, the steam pressure appears to be above 3 bar. So I'd assume that the steam boiler overheated and a PRV had opened. Only I've been unable to reproduce this problem. I've had the machine running for hours and there's been no overheating. Now, I'm not calling anyone a liar, I'm just at a loss to diagnose anything. There was one peculiar detail. This valve was open when I received the machine. I have no idea how it got that way, but it diverts water from the steam boiler to the drip tray to simplify descaling. Of course, it would normally be closed, but as you can see, the feet are short, and the valve can be opened or closed accidentally if you're pushing the unit on a surface. And since the short feet make it impossible to get your hands under it, you've got reason to push rather than lift. So it's possible that the owner inadvertently opened this valve while the steam boiler was under pressure. That would explain the sudden burst of steam handily, except for one detail. It doesn't explain the 3 bar of pressure recorded on the gauge. If the only thing to go wrong had been the valve getting inadvertently open, there would have been a sudden blast of steam, all right, but the boiler wouldn't have gone anywhere near 3 bar. The easiest way to cause that would be for the temperature probe or thermometer to fail, but if that's the case, then why are they working now? At any rate, try though I might, I've been unable to reproduce the fault, so instead of a teardown, you're getting a review. Fortunately, this is a surprisingly good coffee machine with some unique features, and I think you're going to like it.
Oh my God.
It's like a miracle.
It's heavily built, no question about that. It's also very compact, apartment-friendly, let's say, although you get a full dual boiler. It's competitive with the Profitec 300, the Sylvia Pro, the Lelite Elizabeth, but it's more expensive. Do the build quality, component quality, design, and performance justify the added cost? Well, only you can answer that question, but let's take a close look. Notice we have manual flow control here on the left and steam on the right. I like the location of the controls. Reaching to the side just feels more natural. But when you have them in front, you don't have to worry much about side clearance. A machine can sit fairly close to another large appliance or even a partition. But here, with the controls on both sides, you will need to plan ahead. You can see that my absurdly oversized industrial coffee grinder might get in the way of the steam control valve. Now, not many people have absurdly oversized industrial coffee grinders, so this particular issue might not come up, although your kitchen counter might be home to various large-ish appliances like stand mixers and blenders, so keep that in mind. The sheet metal is quite heavy. I didn't measure it because I don't know how thick the powder coat is, but it's a very solid machine. No rattles and squeaks. Now, this body type with the large balcony up here gives you a less than ideal view of what's brewing, and mounting the portafilter without bending or squatting takes some practice. Drop distance is decent, not tremendous. You get around 14 centimeters from the bottom of the group head to the deck, and around 9 centimeters with a scale on deck and a spouted portafilter mounted. So, obviously, not going to fit a mug under there. A full-size D61 will give you around 18 centimeters total, making it easy to brew straight into a mug, if that's important to you. The exterior of this unit is wonderfully easy to clean, and that should be important to everyone. You can heat both boilers at once if your wiring supports it, but if not, you can turn that feature off and heat them successively. The brew boiler heats from room temperature in 10.5 to 11.5 minutes, depending on the ambient temp, and the steam boiler needs about 8 minutes. There's a hot water tap activated from the touch screen, the very bottom position there, and that water comes from the brew boiler, not the steam boiler, which I think is brilliant. It means, first, that you can shut off and forget the steam boiler and still get hot water, and second, it means you won't get crazy pressurized boiling water to scald yourself or spoil the coffee's flavor. Temperature stability for brewing is impressive. I usually do a stress test rather than just pull shots normally because I like to know where things start to fall apart. Bear in mind that the portafilter will be drawing heat from the water, so there's some lag for it to reach its maximum. I've got it warmed up now, and you can see the water temperature reaches 92.5 degrees, with 93 degrees shown on the display. Now I'll repeat this several times. I'm not trying to hit the target temperature again because that wastes a lot of water. I'm just trying to simulate making 3 or so coffees, and then we'll test it again and see how it recovers. And here on the, third or fourth go, the water once again reaches 92.5 degrees, with 93 on the display. Temperature stability and accuracy doesn't get any better than this. It's as good as my E61 machine with resistance heat. Here you can see that the flow control mechanism works proportional to your input, although it is slightly laggy. The action has a good feel. It's one of the best that I've used. Steam performance is solid too. The valve has 2 modes, letting you control the flow. You can open it fully in the clockwise position or regulate it by turning it anti-clockwise. It's a great feature if you steam small amounts of milk in a small jug. The steam boiler is a full liter in capacity and heats from room temperature in approximately 8 minutes, as I said. This is 400 milliliters of refrigerated milk. I do this as another stress test. I'm looking for the breaking point. I doubt many people at home would steam this much in one go. And we do make it to 60 degrees, although that last 10 degrees was a bit of a struggle. I've confirmed that 300 milliliters of cold milk is no problem, and you will get a drier result. So I would say keep it to 300 milliliters or less, and you're going to be very pleased with it. The menu is simple, intuitive, and it lets you toggle a pre-infusion on and off. It also has an eco mode that will hold the group at 40 degrees so that it reheats quickly. You can store 2 shot times with or without pre-infusion, and the third button is for manual control. Bear in mind that you can't cycle the pump on and off while keeping the exhaust valve shut the way you can with an E61. If you press the button again, the exhaust opens and dumps the pressure. A ring group or integrated group requires a good deal less maintenance than an E61 while offering comparable temperature stability. The E61 is all about thermal mass and power. This type of group is all about agility, and it works just as well. I like it a lot. Because you've got a flow control valve, you can raise the line pressure fairly high if you like and regulate it manually to suit. I have it set for 10 bar max. You adjust the expansion valve via this screw in the top rear, easily accessed. A vibration pump can deliver as much pressure and flow as any other type. It is, of course, a bit noisy, but these are well isolated and not much bother. Let's look inside. The top and rear panels come away with ease, total of 10 screws. It's really easy to get inside here if you ever need to. The weight of the sheet metal is immediately evident. The parts really hold their shape, so the ease of repositioning them, replacing them, is something you'll notice and appreciate. Both boilers are entirely stainless steel. A plastic enclosure shields the electronic components from moisture. These braided pressurized hoses are flexible and tolerate both high temperature and high pressure, They're space-saving and easy to replace compared to rigid metal ones. The plain ones are return line. You can see the valve for flow regulation and the hot water tap below it. Opposite is the steam valve with a stainless steel line to the boiler. The company has anticipated what you'll want to do and how you'll want to do it. The engineering is thoughtful, the build quality is high, and the component quality is also high, with a few trivial exceptions. Let me go over the elements I'm not crazy about, keeping in mind that they're minor and easy to fix. It would be nice if there was an audible tone when the brew boiler reaches temperature, one that you could toggle on and off. The pressure gauges are not easy to read, and I'd be grateful if they were illuminated with a little LED. The drip tray cover rides on plastic strips that show early wear. There are better materials to go with here. The wiring is a bit of a bird's nest. At this price, I expect to see a proper wiring harness. There are a few sharp edges on this solenoid valve assembly that could be addressed with a file in about 30 seconds. There's a sticky, gummy plastic sleeve on the steam wand, and you won't like touching it. Here's a nice, dry-feeling, corrugated rubber one on my ECM machine for comparison. I bet the wholesale price difference here is about €1, but the quality impression difference is huge. There are sticky rubber rings on both side controls. Again, not a nice touch point, although the plastic housings feel nice and solid. There's a cheap ABS drip pan that's so wide, it's hard to carry if it's more than half full. In a phrase, touch points. An expensive unit like this doesn't just have to look expensive. It has to feel expensive, too. The good news here is worth repeating. These are trivial issues that can be fixed easily. There is nothing fundamentally wrong with this machine. I would call it 90% of a great machine, and I expect to see that last 10% coming online soon. I'll be sending this back to Home Coffee Machines, where it will go on sale used at a discount via the web shop. I'll put a link in the description. Home Coffee Machines is not a sponsor. I'm not being paid for anything here. I just wanted to document a repair job for you, which, it turns out, wasn't on the cards. Better luck next time. Well, that's about all for today. I hope everyone enjoyed the slight improvement in image quality thanks to the camera I bought recently. Obviously, I'll need a lot of practice to dial it all in, but I think I'm off to a decent start. And at my level of photographic skill, I can only get better. The next coffee video is likely to be the Turbo Shot revisit that I mentioned recently, but I might post something non-caffeinated between now and then. You never know. So keep in touch. Slán.